The sirens wailed like banshees through the sleepy streets of Elmwood, Ohio, shattering the humid July night, as if God himself had cracked open the sky. Brandon Hayes, sweat-soaked and wild-eyed, burst from the back door of the community center, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs, only to freeze under the blinding floodlights of 3 squad cars that skidded to a halt, boxing him in like a cornered animal. "He's the one!" screamed a voice from the crowd. Mrs. Hargrove, the PTA president, her finger jabbing like a dagger. "That pervert touched my boy. Get him!" And in that instant, as rough hands wrenched his arms behind his back and the metallic click of cuffs echoed louder than his own denials, Brandon knew his life in this God-fearing town was over, the lie spreading faster than the summer fire that had once razed the old mill. The interrogation room smelled of stale coffee and desperation, the fluorescent buzz overhead drilling into Brandon's skull like a dentist's whine. He sat slumped in the metal chair, wrists chafed raw from the cuffs they'd finally removed, staring at the two-way mirror where his reflection stared back. A ghost of the man who'd laughed with friends just hours earlier at the annual Elmwood Summer Fair. Detective Harlan, a barrel-chested relic with a mustache that screamed "Nom vet," leaned across the scarred table, his voice gravelly and accusatory. "Look, kid, we got witnesses. Little Timmy Hargrove says you cornered him behind the bounce house, made advances. That's assault on a minor, Brandon. Felony territory. You gonna make this easy or drag it out?" Brandon's throat tightened, the words sticking like barbed wire. Advances? The boy had tripped over a root, skinned his knee bloody on the gravel path, and Brandon, volunteering as always for the Youth Rec League, had knelt to help, offering a clean handkerchief and a steady hand to staunch the flow. "It didn't happen like that," he rasped, his voice cracking under the weight of disbelief. "I was just helping him. Timmy knows me. I've coached his soccer team for years. Ask him." But even as he pleaded, the door swung open, and in shuffled the boy himself, 9 years old and trembling, his mother's iron grip on his shoulder like a vice. Mrs. Hargrove's eyes burned with righteous fury, her lips a thin slash of red lipstick. "Tell them, Timothy. Tell them what that man did to you." The child's gaze darted to Brandon, wide and watery, then dropped to the linoleum floor. He touched me," Timmy whispered, the lie tumbling out rehearsed and mechanical, coached by whispers Brandon could only imagine in the Hargrove living room, fueled by the town's undercurrent of suspicion toward the confirmed bachelor, who lived alone in that creaky Victorian on Maple Street. Brandon's world tilted, the room spinning as if the earth had given up its axis. Touched him? The handkerchief, the pat on the back. Innocent gestures twisted into something vile by rumor and prejudice. Harlan's pen scratched across his notepad, the sound a death knell. "That's enough. We're booking him." Word spread through Elmwood like kudzu on a chain-link fence. By dawn, the local paper's headlines screamed, "Local coach accused of molesting boy at fair. Community in shock." Brandon's phone, confiscated but buzzing in evidence, held voicemails from teammates, neighbors, even his own sister in Cleveland. "How could you, Bran? Call me when it's a mistake." But the cruelest cut came from Shane Whitaker, the man whose bed he'd warmed for 2 stolen years, the high school history teacher with the easy smile and calloused hands from weekend carpentry. No call, no text, just a single, gut-wrenching note slipped under the cell door that afternoon. "I can't believe it. I have to step back. For my career. For us both. I'm sorry. Us both." As if their late-night confessions under the quilt, Shane's fingers tracing the tattoos on Brandon's back, whispering dreams of a life beyond Elmwood's narrow lanes, had been just another small-town fling. The arraignment was a circus. Protesters clogged the courthouse steps, signs bobbing like buoys in a storm. "Protect our kids," and "No perverts in Elmwood." Brandon, in an ill-fitting orange jumpsuit, kept his head down as the judge, a stern woman with silver hair pinned like a crown, read the charges. Indecent assault endangering the welfare of a child. Bail was set at $50,000, a fortune for a guy whose savings account held the dregs from coaching stipends and odd jobs fixing bikes at O'Malley's garage. His public defender, a harried kid fresh out of law school, muttered about plea deals, But Brandon wouldn't hear it. "I'm innocent," he insisted, voice steady for the first time since the cuffs clicked. "Fight it." But fighting meant facing the town he'd called home since birth. Elmwood, with its white-steepled church and Friday night lights under which he'd thrown passes to Shane's little brother back in high school, turned on him overnight. The Rec League fired him via email. The garage owner, Mr. O'Malley, red-faced Irishman who'd toasted Brandon's 30th with Jameson, boarded up the bay door with a curt, "Can't have your kind here." And the whispers? They slithered through the diner, the library, the barber shop. Always knew something was off about him. Living alone like that. No wife. Gay in Elmwood wasn't a sin worth burning for. Not anymore, not in 2015, but pair it with this? It was crucifixion. Shane avoided the calls, the letters smuggled out through his lawyer. Their last real moment replayed in Brandon's fevered dreams. 2 weeks before the fair. On the porch swing during a thunderstorm, Shane's head on his shoulder, rain pattering like applause. "We could leave, you know," Shane had murmured, breath warm against Brandon's neck. "Chicago. Or Austin. Start fresh." Brandon had laughed, pulling him closer. "And give up your tenure? My roots here." But now, staring at the cinder-block walls of county lockup, those roots felt like chains. The betrayal stung deeper than the accusation. Shane, who knew every scar on his soul, folding like a cheap suit at the first gust of scandal. Weeks blurred into a nightmare of depositions and character witnesses who evaporated like morning dew. Timmy Hargrove's story held under cross, the boy crumbling into tears that sealed Brandon's fate. No physical evidence, but in a town where faith trumped forensics, it didn't matter. The plea bargain loomed. 5 years, probation after, sex offender registry for life. Brandon signed, numb as the pen tore the paper. His freedom traded for the illusion of mercy. Sentencing day, the gallery packed with faces he'd known since kindergarten. Now strangers, averted eyes and muffled sobs from his mother in the back row, her rosary beads clicking like gunfire. "Mr. Hayes," the judge intoned, gavel poised. "Your actions have irreparably harmed this community. I sentence you to 5 years at Ross Correctional, followed by 3 years supervised release." The hammer fell, and with it, Brandon's last tether snapped. As deputies led him away, he caught Shane in the crowd. Tall, blonde, in that navy blazer that hugged his shoulders just right. Standing rigid, face pale as ash. Their eyes met for a heartbeat, Shane's lips parting as if to speak, but nothing came. Just a shadow of the man who'd once vowed, "You're my anchor, Bran. Always." Paroled after 3 for good behavior. Ironic, in a place where silence was the ultimate virtue. Brandon stepped into the gray November of 2018 with $200 gate money and a bus ticket to nowhere. Elmwood spat him out like a bad seed. No job leads, family fractured, his dad dead of a heart attack during the trial, mom too ashamed to visit, and Shane, married now, to Emily from the bank. A ring glinting in Facebook photos Brandon scrolled through on a library computer in Dayton. Each image a fresh knife twist. "Happily ever after," the captions lied. Brandon hitched west, chasing the American dream's ragged hem. Odd jobs in Kansas diners, Colorado ski lodges. Finally landing in Seattle's tech boom as a night shift coder, self-taught from library books and sheer spite. But the registry haunted him, a digital scarlet letter barring apartments, gigs, even coffee shop loyalty cards. Nights he'd wake sweating, the echo of Timmy's whisper clawing at his chest. Why the lie? Mrs. Hargrove's grudge over a parking spot at last year's bake sale? Or deeper venom, aimed at the queer coach who dared love openly in whispers? And Shane, God, Shane. The letters Brandon burned unsent, pages filled with rage and longing. "You let them bury me alive. Was I ever real to you?" Seattle's rain washed away the tears, but not the fire. 5 years ground by, muscles hardening from warehouse shifts, heart calcifying like old concrete. Until the email from an old teammate, now a PI in Columbus. "Timmy's talking. Says it was all bullshit. Hargrove's dying cancer. Kid wants to come clean before it's too late." Brandon's fingers trembled over the keyboard in his cramped Capitol Hill studio, the Space Needle mocking him through fogged glass. "Return, To that viper's nest? The accusation had stolen his youth, his love, his name. But the truth, raw, unyielding, beckoned like a siren's call. He booked the flight, one way, heart thundering as the plane banked over the Rockies. Elmwood waited, unchanged. Same sagging porches, same church bells tolling judgment. But Brandon? He was no longer the boy they'd broken. He was the storm about to break. The Greyhound jolted to a stop at the Elmwood Depot, a squat brick relic off Route 23, and Brandon stepped off into the crisp bite of October wind, duffel slung over his shoulder like a soldier's pack. 5 years had etched lines around his eyes, broadened his frame from lanky coach to weathered survivor, but the air, thick with leaf rot and distant wood smoke, hit him like a fist to the gut. Home, or what was left of it. He hailed a cab, the driver squinting in the rear view. Hayes? As in? Brandon cut him off with a nod, gaze fixed on the passing fields, golden under harvest moon. Yeah, that's me. The PI, Jake Russo, ex-linebacker from Brandon's high school days, now sporting a gut and a cheap suit. Met him at the diner on Main, sliding into the booth with a manila folder thick as a Bible. Timmy's a mess, man. 20 now, back from community college, working at the mill. Hargrove passed last spring, liver ate itself up. Kid's got guilt like a backpack full of bricks. Jake slid over photos. Timmy, hollow-cheeked, staring at a gravestone. News clippings yellowed with age. Says his mom drilled it into him. That man's a danger, Timmy. Say what I tell you or the devil wins. She hated you, caught wind you were, with Whitaker. Thought you'd corrupt the team. Brandon's jaw clenched, the booth's vinyl creaking under his grip. Corrupt. As if love was a virus, Shane's touch a plague. And the evidence? They had nothing. Jake shrugged, sipping black coffee. Small-town justice. No DNA, no bruises. Just her word and his echo. But now, Timmy's ready to sign an affidavit. Recant the whole damn thing. DA might reopen if we push. Push. The word ignited something primal in Brandon's chest. A spark long banked to embers. He spent the night in a motel off the interstate, the neon vacancy sign flickering like a faulty heartbeat, staring at the ceiling cracks that mapped his regrets. Shane. Married Shane, father now to a toddler girl named Lily. Per the town gossip Jake relayed over greasy eggs. He's principal at the high school. Big man on campus. Keeps it buttoned up. Church every Sunday with Emily. Brandon's laugh was bitter, hollow, buttoned up, like the nights they'd stolen in the Whitaker barn, hayloft creaking under their weight. Shane's whispers fierce against the dark. I love you, Bran. More than this town deserves. Lies all of it, or fear, cowardice dressed as caution. Dawn broke gray and reluctant, and Brandon drove the rented Ford into Elmwood proper, past the fairgrounds where bounce houses still dotted the grass like forgotten toys. The community center loomed, its banner flapping, Elmwood Fall Fest, family fun. Irony clawed at him as he parked, hands steady on the wheel. First stop, Timmy. The mill whistle shrieked noon, and workers spilled out in flannel and steel toes, Timmy among them. Taller now, but with the same mop of auburn curls, eyes downcast as he lit a smoke by the chain link. Mr. Hayes. His voice cracked, cigarette forgotten. I didn't think you'd come. Brandon leaned against the fence, arms crossed, the wire digging into his back like penance. You wrote the letter. Said you needed to fix this. Timmy nodded, flicking ash that scattered like confetti from a broken promise. Mom's gone. No one's left to hate you for it. I was a kid, scared shitless. She said if I didn't back her, you'd take me away or something. Brainwashed me. Tears tracked dirt-streaked cheeks, and Brandon felt no triumph, only a weary ache. Why her? What did I ever do? Timmy's shrug was a collapse. You were different. Out and proud, sorta. She volunteered at the fair, saw you with Shane once, holding hands behind the tent. Freaked her. Called you abominations. The word hung, venomous, and Brandon swallowed bile. Abominations. For loving a man who now preached tolerance from a pulpit of hypocrisy. Affidavit. Timmy pulled a folded paper from his pocket, hands shaking. Signed it this morning. Truth, all of it. You just helped me up. That's all. They shook, clammy, brief, and Brandon drove away, the paper burning a hole in his glove box. Next, the DA's office, a squat county building reeking of bureaucracy and bleach. Marlene Voss, the prosecutor who'd once grilled him like a steak, looked up from her desk, glasses perched like a hawk's beak. Hayes, heard you were back. This better not be harassment. Brandon slid the affidavit across, voice level as a Midwest plane. Recantation. False accusation. I want the record expunged. My name cleared. Voss scanned it, lips pursing. Timmy Hargrove, huh? Kid's credible now, adult and all. But reopening a closed case? Statutes tight. You'd need a judge's sympathy, and Elmwood's long memory ain't kind. She tapped a pen, eyes narrowing. Why now? Revenge tour. Brandon met her gaze, unflinching. Justice. 5 years stolen. A life in ruins. That's all. She sighed, filing it away. I'll review. No promises. Town's still whispering. Folks think you slunk back to gloat. Gloat, as if vindication tasted like candy. Brandon checked into the Elmwood Inn, a B&B with lace curtains and potpourri that choked like regret. His room overlooked the park, where kids kicked soccer balls under sodium lamps. The same field where he'd drawn up plays, Shane cheering from the sidelines, their eyes locking in secret codes. Sleep evaded him, ghosts parading. His mother's funeral he'd missed, paroled too late. The registry that barred him from his niece's birthday. And Shane. Always Shane, a phantom in every shadow. Morning brought rain, sheets of it sluicing the gutters like tears too long dammed. Brandon suited up, borrowed blazer from Jake, slacks pressed sharp, and headed to the courthouse for the preliminary hearing. The hall buzzed with locals. The barber who'd shunned him, the librarian who'd once slipped him banned books. Whispers rippled. Look at him strutting back. Thinks he's innocent now? He kept his chin up, spine straight, the man Seattle had forged from ashes. Inside, the judge, new blood, a black woman named Rivera from Toledo, called order. Voss presented the motion. Your Honor, new evidence warrants vacating the conviction. The victim's recantation is voluntary, corroborated by medical notes on Mrs. Hargrove's influence. Undue coercion. Defense. Brandon's pro bono attorney, a sharp ACLU type named Lena, piled on. Character letters from Seattle employers, psych evals showing no pattern of abuse. Mr. Hayes served his time for a lie. This court can right a wrong. Rivera leaned forward, gavel idle. Ms. Voss, the state's position? A pause, heavy as the storm outside. We concede, Your Honor. No opposition to expungement. Gasps echoed. A woman in the back, old Mrs. O'Malley, crossed herself. The judge nodded, voice resonant. Motion granted. Conviction vacated. Record sealed. Mr. Hayes, you're a free man, in the eyes of the law at least. Free. The word echoed as Brandon exited. Rain soaking his shirt, but the crowd waited, 20-30 strong. A gauntlet of glares and murmurs. Pedo, one yelled, a beer-bellied man in a trucker hat. Go back to your hole. Another hurled a half-empty coffee cup, brown splatter blooming on Brandon's sleeve. He didn't flinch, pushing through, until a familiar voice cut the din. Enough! Back off him, you cowards! Shane, emerging from the throng like a specter, rain matting his blonde hair, blazer discarded somewhere in the fray. Taller than memory, but softer around the edges, fatherhood's mark. Their eyes locked, and the world narrowed to that blue-green stare, stormy as the Ohio sky. Bran! Shane breathed, stepping close, voice a ragged whisper. You're back. Brandon's pulse thundered, fists clenching at his sides. Yeah, clearing my name. You should try it sometime. The barb landed, Shane wincing, but he didn't retreat. I heard about the hearing. Emily. She knows everything now. We need to talk. Talk, as if words could mend the chasm. But beneath the fury, a treacherous spark flickered. Old love, unkillable weed. Rain poured, blurring lines, and Brandon nodded. Once. Not here. Your office. Principal Whitaker. They drove in silence, wipers slapping rhythm like a metronome to unresolved sins. Elmwood High loomed, brick fortress of echoes. Lockers where Shane had stolen first kisses in '09. Gym where Brandon scored the winning goal. Shane's cheers drowning the buzzer. Now it was his domain. Plaques on walls proclaiming Educator of the Year. Shane led him to the office, past a secretary who gawked, door clicking shut like a vault. Inside, diplomas gleamed under desk lamp glow. Shane sank into his chair, gestures broad, teacherly. Congrats on the exoneration. Town's buzzing. Half think you're a saint, half still spit. Brandon paced, duffel at feet, energy coiled. Saint? Try survivor. You bailed, Shane. Note under the door like some cowards post-it. For my career, while I rotted. Shane's face crumpled, hands raking hair. I was scared, Bran. 28, tenure track, Emily asking questions. The town. They were coming for me next. What's a married man doing with the accused? I folded. Admission hung, raw. Brandon stopped, inches away, heat radiating. Folded? We had plans. Love, you let them win. Shane rose, close enough to touch. Cologne. Same sandalwood, stirring ghosts. I never stopped. Emily knows. We've been in counseling. Lily. She's 3. But you're in every dream. The air thickened, charged. Brandon's resolve cracked. Hand lifting to trace Shane's jaw. Scar from a boyhood fall still there. Too late, he murmured. But his body betrayed him, leaning in. Their lips met, tentative then fierce, years pouring out in salt and need. But as Shane's arms wrapped tight, a photo on the desk caught Brandon's eye. Family portrait, Emily smiling, Lily giggling on Daddy's knee. He pulled back, gasping. You have a life. I can't. Shane's grip tightened, desperate. Don't go. Not again. Outside, thunder rolled, omen or invitation. Brandon's heart warred. Fury, forgiveness, the pull of what might have been. Elmwood's ghosts pressed close, demanding reckoning. The kiss lingered like smoke after a fire, acrid and clinging. As Brandon extricated himself from Shane's office with a muttered, I need air, the hallway stretched endless. Fluorescent hum mocking his retreat, posters of college fairs and anti-bullying PSAs blurring into a kaleidoscope of what-ifs. Anti-bullying ironic in a place that had devoured him whole. He burst into the parking lot, rain easing to mist, the Ford's hood beaded like tears unshed. Leaning against it, he dragged deep from a cigarette. Habit picked up in Ross, traded for protection in the yard. Exhaling clouds that dissolved into the ether. Shane followed, door banging behind him. Tie askew like a noose half-tied. Bran, wait, please. He stopped a yard away, hands raised in surrender, water dripping from his cuffs. That wasn't. It was. But talk to me. Really. Brandon flicked the butt into a puddle, sparks hissing out. Talk? About how you ghosted me in my darkest hour. Married the girl next door to keep the facade? Or how you parade Lily at church picnics, preaching family values while I'm scraping by on the registry scraps. Shane flinched, each word a lash. I was wrong. Terrified. My dad, hell, the whole Whitaker clan, they'd have disowned me. Emily was safe. Steady. He stepped closer, voice dropping to that confessional timbre Brandon remembered from loft nights. But it was never right. Woke up every morning with your ghost in the bed. That's why the counseling. Why I told her. Last year, after the rumors you might appeal. Brandon's laugh barked. Sharp. Ghost? Try the living dead. Seattle's no paradise. Jobs drying up because prior offender. Dates ghosting when they Google me. Your principal now? Congrats. Must be nice. Building empires on my bones. But even as venom spilled, his eyes traced Shane's face. The crinkles at corners from smiling at students, the faint stubble shadowing jaw. Love, treacherous, stirred beneath the bile. They drove to the old mill ruins, a skeleton of rusted beams by the river. where teens still parked for smokes and secrets. The spot where, post-high school, they'd first crossed the line. Shane's truck bed, stars wheeling overhead, fumbling promises in the dark. Now weeds choked the path, and they sat on a fallen log, river murmuring like an old friend. Shane unpacked it all. The wedding rushed to quiet whispers, the nights he'd drive past Brandon's empty house, the ache when Lily asked why Daddy cried at night. I betrayed us. You, me, but coming back is a sign. Fight for this. Brandon stared at the water, eddies swirling like his thoughts. Fight? For what? Your marriage? My fresh start. Shane's hand found his, tentative, calluses rough from chalkboards and diaper changes. For truth, and maybe, forgiveness. The touch ignited electric, pulling Brandon under. They talked till dusk bled to Navy. Plans derailed, dreams dust. But in the lulls, fingers intertwined, a bridge over the chasm. Back at the inn, Brandon's phone buzzed. Lena, the lawyer. Good news, DA's dropping barriers. Full pardon hearing next month. Town councils even floating an apology resolution. Vindication tangible now. But as he hung up, a knock echoed. Jake, bearing takeout and grim news. Stirring the pot, haze. Anonymous letters to the paper. Don't let the liar rewrite history. And get this, one signed a friend of the family. Smells like Whitaker kin. Betrayal's shadow lengthened. Shane's family, staunch Baptists, the lot, had loathed their secret from the jump. Uncle Ray, the deacon, once cornered Brandon at a barbecue. Keep your hands off my nephew, boy, or else. Was this their endgame? Smear to keep the prodigal straight? Brandon confronted Shane at dawn. Over diner hash at the crack of dawn spot. Steam rising like accusations. Your uncle? Letters calling me a predator redux. Shane paled, fork clattering. Ray? He knows about us. From Emily's slip. Said he'd protect the school if I didn't end it clean. End it? We're talking sabotage, Shane. Forcing me out again. Fury boiled, but Shane's eyes, pleading, raw, doused it. I'll handle him. Family meeting tonight. But Bran, stay. For the hearing. For us. The word dangled, seductive. Brandon nodded, wary as they parted. Shane to school, him to the library for research. Digging into Hargrove's old diaries Jake had unearthed. Pages ranting about moral decay, and that haze filth influencing our boys. Days blurred. Strategy sessions with Lena, coffees with Timmy. Awkward amends over burgers, the young man vowing testimony. I owe you my soul, coach. Town thawed fractionally. O'Malley cracking his door for a free oil change. Murmured, sorry kid, but undercurrents churned. Late-night calls from Shane, voice husky. Emily's filing for separation. Says she saw it in my eyes when you walked in. Shock rippled through Brandon, mingled with guilt. Because of me? Shane's laugh soft. Because of truth. Finally. The family showdown erupted at the Whitaker farm. A sprawling spread off County Road 12. Silos like sentinels in the moonlight. Brandon waited in the truck, engine idling, as Shane vanished into the fray. Raised voices carrying on the wind. You choose that sinner over blood? Uncle Ray's bellow. He's poison, Shane. Principle. With scandal. Shane's retort. Fierce. Scandal? It was a lie. And Brandon's the best man I know. Better than this hypocrisy. A door slammed. Tires crunched. Shane emerging. Bruised in spirit. Duffel in hand. I'm out. Staying with you tonight. The in-room became sanctuary. Twin beds pushed to queen-size approximation. Bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated. No fire, just holding. Shane's head on Brandon's chest. Heartbeat sinking to river rhythms outside. I love you, Shane whispered into the dark. Always did. Brandon's throat ached. Fingers carding blonde strands. Prove it. Stand with me. Public. The hearing dawned bright. Leaves carpeting the courthouse lawn like confetti for a prodigal's return. Gallery packed. Supporters, Timmy front row, Jake beside, detractors, Ray Whitaker glaring daggers. Rivera presided, voice booming. This court acknowledges grave injustice. Pardon granted. Mr. Hayes, Elmwood owes you amends. Cheers mixed with boos, but Brandon stood tall, Shane's hand brushing his under the rail. Solid, unspoken vow. After, press swarmed, local news van, even a Columbus reporter. How's it feel, Mr. Hayes? Vindicated. Brandon. Mike thrust forward, glanced at Shane. Emily in the crowd with Lily on hip, nodding grace. Like breathing again. But healing? That's on all of us. Ray stormed out, but not before spitting. This ain't over. Threat or bluff. Didn't matter. Lunch at the diner. Timmy, Jake, Shane, even Mom. Frail but fierce, squeezing Brandon's hand. Proud of you, son. Finally. Afternoon brought the storm, literal and figurative. Clouds boiled as they walked the fairgrounds. Lily toddling between them, chubby fist in Brandon's. Unca Buon, she lisped, and something melted in him, paternal ache he'd never named. Shane watched, eyes soft. She likes you. But peace shattered with Jake's call. Letters traced. Ray's handwriting. And he's rallying counsel. Wants your pardon revoked on public safety. Betrayal crystallized. Uncle's grudge a venomous root. Evening, confrontation at the farm, Shane leading, Brandon backup. Ray on the porch with shotgun propped casual. Family's done with you, boy, he growled at Shane. And that devil? Out. Shane stepped forward, voice steel. No, we're telling the paper. Your hate, the letters, all of it. Ray's laugh cackled. Prove it, or watch your career burn. Climax brewed. Evidence hunt through Ray's den, Shane distracting while Brandon rifled drawers, finding drafts, printed emails plotting smears. Heart hammering. They fled with proof. Ray's roar chasing. Traitors! Police station next. Affidavits filed. Ray arrested by midnight. Elderly deacon in cuffs. Town's facade cracking. In the cruiser's wake, Shane turned to Brandon. Rain slicked and spent. It's over. Really. They drove to the river, logged their confessional, bodies entwining. Not passion's blaze, but soul's quiet mend. Marry me, Shane murmured. Ring from his pocket. Simple band, scavenged from youth. Brandon's yes was a sob world writing. Winter crept into Elmwood like an uninvited guest, frosting windows and tempers alike. But for Brandon and Shane, it blanketed the raw edges of their reunion in tentative peace. The pardon held, Ray's charges stuck. Misdemeanor harassment, enough to sideline him from deacon duties and force a council mea culpa. Public apology in the town square, mayor mumbling regrets over a podium strung with twinkling lights. We failed you, Mr. Hayes. Elmwood strives to be better. Cameras flashed, hands clapped. Cautious, like touching hot coals. But Brandon felt the shift, a crack in the ice. Life stitched itself anew, thread by fragile thread. Shane's separation finalized amicably. Emily, gracious in defeat, retaining the house for Lily's stability. Joint custody, a dance of schedules and playground handoffs. She's got your eyes, she'd tell Brandon at pickups. A olive branch wrapped in wry smile. Keep him honest. Brandon, reclaiming his name, landed a gig at the high school. Assistant coach, Lena's legal muscle smoothing the hire. Kids stared at first, whispers trailing. That's the guy from the news. But soccer fields leveled egos. By spring tryouts, chants of Coach Hayes. Echoed, Timmy, now assistant himself, grinning from the bench. Nights belonged to them. Shane's apartment above the hardware store. A third-floor walk-up with creaky floors and a view of the rusted water tower scrawled with class of 15 graffiti. Their year. Cooking disasters turned to rituals. Burnt meatloaf redeemed with takeout. Wine loosening tongues for stories untold. Remember the road trip? Shane would say, feet tangled on the couch, recounting their 13 jaunt to the Grand Canyon, stolen from family barbecues. You drove like a maniac, singing Springsteen off-key. Brandon's retort, fingers tracing collarbones. You mapped us lost on purpose. Wanted more time. Laughter filled voids, but shadows lingered. Brandon's flinches at sirens. Shane's guilt-fueled silences. Betrayal's echo surfaced in small ways. A council vote stalling Shane's principal promotion. Murmurs of family ties to the scandal. An anonymous flyer in mailboxes reviving Hargrove lies. Quickly debunked but stinging like salt in wounds. Ray's cronies, Shane muttered, crumpling paper. But unity fortified them. Couples therapy with a Dayton queer counselor. Sessions unpacking closets and cowards. Forgiveness isn't erasure, she'd say, glasses glinting. It's choice. Brandon chose daily. Waking to Shane's coffee breath. Planning vows for summer. Simple, lakeside, with mom officiating via proxy. Lily flower girl in a dress that twirled like dreams. Yet conflict simmered, bubbling from unexpected quarters. Emily's new beau, a mild accountant from Akron, raised no flags until a custody skirmish, her lawyer citing unstable environment with Shane's recent changes. Courtroom redux. Affidavits flew, Judge Rivera presiding again, brow furrowed. Mr. Whitaker, your ex-wife claims the child's exposed to controversy. Shane, suit crisp, voice steady. Controversy? Truth, Your Honor. Brandon's exonerated. We're building a family. Brandon testified, words measured. Lily's my light. I die before harming her. Rivera ruled for joint, but the toll carved deeper. Nights Shane paced, whispering fears. What if they take her? Because of us. Brandon held him then, anchors in storm. They won't. We're legal now, Obergefell says so. But law's cold ink couldn't warm the chill of prejudice's persistence. Spring thawed fields, but not hearts. A school board meeting erupted when Ray, out on bail, unrepentant, testified against Shane's tenure renewal. My nephew's shacking with a felon ex or not. Kids need morals. Gallery gasped, but supporters countered. Parents who'd seen Brandon's drills transform shy boys. Timmy's impassioned plea. He saved me. From lies, from hate. Board voted 5-4 for renewal, but the close call ignited Shane's doubt. Maybe Seattle? Fresh start. Like we dreamed. Brandon balked, feet rooted. Elmwood's mine now. We fight here. Tension coiled. Their first real rift. Shane's wanderlust clashing Brandon's reclaimed ground. Date night at the mill. Arguments under stars, voices rising. You think running fixes it? Brandon snapped. I ran once. Lost everything. Shane's retort, pained. I'm not running. I'm choosing us without ghosts. They parted raw, first night separate since the hearing. Brandon at the inn, staring at ceiling, heart a war drum. Reconciliation came circuitous. Lily's 4th birthday, a backyard bash with balloons and cake smeared on chins. She toddled to Brandon. Crown askew. Cake, Unca Buon. He scooped her, twirling, laughter dissolving knots. Shane watched from the porch, eyes wet. Later, under quilt of fireflies, apologies flowed. I need this town, Brandon admitted, to heal it. Us. Shane nodded, kiss ceiling. Then we root. Deep. Summer swelled, romance blooming in margins. Weekend hikes in Hocking Hills, hands clasped on trails where ferns whispered secrets. Drives to Cleveland for Indians games, hot dogs and cheers a bomb. Vows approached, July 15th, anniversary of their first loft night. Invites went out. Jake best man, Timmy usher, mom beaming from her rocker. But high tide of joy crested with undercurrent pull. A letter from Ross, old inmate pal dying of cancer, begging visit. Tell my story, Bran. The real one. Duty called. Yanking Brandon east. Conflict internal. Leave Shane at altar prep? He went, 2 days in Ohio pen. Tales of redemption swapped over commissary trays. Returned hollow-eyed, but fortified. Rehearsal dinner. Whitaker holdouts absent, but Emily toasting. To love that endures. Shane's speech, voice cracking. Bran, you came back. Taught me courage. Tears flowed. Beers clinked. Promise of forever. Ceremony day dawned golden. Lake mirror smooth. Willows draping like veils. Brandon in linen suit. Nerves electric. Shane in Navy, boutonniere of wild asters. Vows exchanged, simple. In shadows and light, I choose you. Rings slid, kiss sealed under cheers. Lily tossing petals, mom's handkerchief dabbing eyes. Reception. Bonfire crackle, fiddles wailing Appalachian tunes, dances barefoot on grass. But humanism's thread wove subtle. Ray's absence noted, but a card arrived, scrawled apology, shaky hand. Forgive an old fool. Love wins. Cancer, Jake whispered later. Redemption's quiet arc honeymoon. Cabin in the Smokies, days hiking, nights tangled in whispers. We're free, Shane murmured, head on chest. Brandon. Tracing tattoos faded but true. Finally. Fall returned, routine solidifying, coaching tandem. Shane's history class guest lecturing on McCarthy-era smears, parallels drawn sharp. Lily's bedtime stories. Brandon's voice rumbling fables of brave knights loving knights. Yet climax loomed, unbidden. School budget cuts, board eyeing non-essential programs, arts, sports. Shane rallied, petitions circulating. Brandon coached a fundraiser game, rain-soaked stands roaring. The vote. Packed room, air thick. Ray, bald now, chemo gaunt. Spoke last. I was wrong. Fund it. For the kids. Swayed the holdout. Victory Pyrrhic, but profound. Town's evolution. One grudge released. Winter solstice. Family gathered. Tree aglow. Shane knelt. Lily giggling. Baby brother? No, adoption papers fostering a teen from the system. Echoes of their scars. Our circle widens, Brandon said, tears hot. Human chain unbroken. The first snow dusted Elmwood like powdered sugar on gingerbread, softening edges but not erasing them. As Brandon and Shane navigated the labyrinth of new fatherhood, the teen they welcomed, Marcus, 16, lanky black kid with a fade and eyes that saw too much, arrived in February, foster papers crisp, his duffel light as his trust. Ain't no thing, he drawled at dinner, poking at meatloaf, but nights brought nightmares, shouts echoing down the hall. Don't touch me! Shane, ever the teacher, sat vigil with hot cocoa and stories of his own teen rebellions, vandalizing the water tower with class of 15 rules, drawing Marcus out shell by shell. Brandon bonded slower, scars whispering caution. What if he hears the old lies? But soccer thought it. Spring practices, Marcus on forward, raw talent honed under Brandon's whistle. Pass left, kid. Read the field. Cheers built bridges. Post-game burgers, Marcus admitting. Folks said you were trouble, but you straight up coach like family. Straight up. The irony warmed. A small triumph in prejudice's wake. Shane's promotion cleared. Superintendent now. Desk piled with reforms. Diversity training, anti-bias curricula. No more closets, he'd say at staff meetings. Voice resonant. Ray's old seat empty but spirit lingering in nods from converts. Emily dated steady. Lily bridging worlds with crayons and cuddles. To Daddy's house, she'd declare, drawing stick figures hand in hand. But domestic bliss masked tremors. Marcus's bio mom surfaced. Custody bid laced with accusations. Unfit home, queer influence. Court again, Rivera sighing. Ms. Ellis, your record speaks. Drugs, abandonment. Ruled for permanence, but the siege wore. Shane's insomnia. Brandon's clenched jaws at sirens. Betrayal's ghost stirred anew. Not from foes but fracture within. Summer hit, heat wave wilting gardens, and Shane's wanderlust resurfaced. Conference in D.C. Invite to panel on rural LGBTQ education. Come, he urged, packing suits. See the world we dreamed. Brandon demurred, tied to fields and foster evals. Go. I'll hold the fort. Solo week stretched. Marcus testing bounds, sneaking smokes. Lily's tantrums peaking. Letters arrived. Fan mail from recantees nationwide. But one chilled. Watch your back. Hayes. Some debts unpaid. And signed, postmarked local. Shane returned energized. Tales of Beltway brass and queer icons. But distant. Emails from a panelist. Colleague named Alex. Flirty subtext. Brandon sniffed like bloodhound. Who's this? He asked over porch beers. Tone light as lead. Shane waved it off. Networking. Old friend from grad school. But nights cooled, touches perfunctory. Doubt festered, old wounds suppurating. Not again. Not you. Climax brewed slow, then erupted at the county fair. Echoes of accusation's cradle. Booths bustled, funnel cakes greasing chins, but tension crackled as Ray, Freilier, oxygen tank trailing, approached their stall, volunteer for hayrides. Truce? He rasped, extending calloused hand. Shane clasped, wary. Brandon held back. Why now? Ray's eyes, milky. Cancer's endgame. Saw the light or the error. Forgive. Human frailty disarmed. Brandon gripped. Brief. Water under. Heal. But peace shattered that night. Shane's phone buzzing. Alex's text. Miss our talks. DC magic. Innocent. Brandon's gut twisted. Confronting over kitchen sink. Dishes clattering. Hiding again? Like with Emily? Shane's denial cracked. It's nothing. But, yeah, I felt seen. Alive. Beyond Elmwood. Admission gutted. Betrayal not carnal. But emotional drift. Shane's ambition chafing small-town roots. You think I'm holding you back? Brandon roared, voice breaking. After everything? Storm raged. Shane storming out, crashing at Emily's. Brandon pacing, Marcus eavesdropping wide-eyed. Y'all okay? The boy asked, voice small. Brandon pulled him close. Figuring it. Love's messy. Dawn brought reckoning. Shane returning, face haggard, flowers wilting in fist. I panicked. Glory called. But you're home. Tears mingled, apologies raw. I need you whole, not half here. Therapy doubled down, boundaries drawn. No solo trips sans check-ins, ambitions shared. Fall harvested growth. Adoption finalized. Marcus's grin at the courthouse beaming brighter than October sun. Family. He inked on his arm, subtle nod to permanence. School year kicked, reforms blooming. First GSA club, rainbow flags fluttering tentative. But external gale gathered. State legislature, red wave crashing, bills gutting protections. Don't say gay echoes in Buckeye blue. Shane testified in Columbus, voice thunder. Our kids deserve truth, not erasure. Backlash hit. Hate mail. Tires slashed on the truck. Whispers at the pump. Whitaker's gone soft. Brandon fortified home front, coaching a championship run. Marcus scoring the winner, crowd roaring undamned. Post-game. Ray in stands, clapping frail. Good game, son. Son. Bridge crossed. Winter solstice loomed, but fracture mended stronger. Shane's DC invite declined. Local panel instead. Roots over wings. Audience packed. Marcus emceeing, Lily on lap. Yet humanism's depth plumbed and quiet. Visit to Ross. Now shuttered. Ghosts of cells yielding to community center. Brandon keynoting. From chains to change. Inmates listened, eyes hungry. One, young like past Timmy, whispered, thanks for coming back. Back. The word anchored. Spring bloomed defiant. Cherry petals defiant pink. Anniversary hike. Hawking, hands clasped. Marcus scouting trails ahead. Lily babbling brooks. Summit view. Ohio rolling endless. Shane knelt. Not ring but vow renewal. Deeper always. Kiss sealed. Windswept. But climax's shadow. Ray's passing, quiet in hospice while reading shocking. Farm deeded to the boys. With caveat. Build better than I broke. Grief mixed gratitude. Funeral packed. Eulogies honest. Flawed man. Found grace. Shane spoke. Tears steal. Uncle. Rest. We carry the light. Summer fair circled, full loop. Booth same, but pride flag on center. Timmy Manning kissing Booth for charity. Chased pecs. Laughter loud. Brandon and Shane danced under lights. Slow to fiddles. Body's memory. Marcus with date, shy handhold. Lily spinning skirts. Night's end, porch swing, creak familiar. Worth it. Shane murmured. Brandon's arm tightened. Every scar. Stars wheeled. Promises etched. Years folded like accordions. Elmwood evolving in fits and starts. A quilt patched from pain and persistence. By 2025, Brandon at 42 wore silver at temples. Laugh lines etching maps of joy reclaimed. Shane, ever the visionary, superintendent turned district advocate, commuting to state ed board skirmishes, badge of honor. Marcus thrived, college-bound for OSU, sociology major, interning at a crisis center, paying forward, coach. Lily, 8 now, fierce with opinions, demanding night stories at bed. Her two-dad doodles adorning fridge like manifestos. The false accusation scar faded to silver, but never vanished. Registry expunged fully. Yet Google ghosts lingered, fodder for trolls. Brandon channeled it. Podcast launched. Cleared. Stories of wrongful conviction. Episodes raw with recantees, lawyers, survivors. Guests like Timmy, now counselor. Lies chain us all. Truth liberates. Listeners tuned in thousands. Emails pouring. You gave me voice. Human web spun wider. Romance deepened. Roots delving. Anniversaries lakeside. Vows refreshed yearly. Rings nested with inscriptions. Anchor for Brandon. Storm for Shane. Travels balanced. DC together. Panel hand in hand. Alex a fond footnote. Married now to a curator. Full circle. Shane quipped over Capitol Steps coffee. Home anchored. Expansions to the farm. Ray's legacy reborn. Community garden. Plots for foster kids. Rainbow trellis arching entry. Conflict crested gentle now. Waves not tsunamis. Budget battles, board politics. Shane's eye on national orgs. DC. Brandon teased one harvest eve. Hay bales stacked. Cider steaming. Shane's grin crooked. Only if your mayor here first. Laughter, then seriousness. We built this. Stay. Marcus's wedding. To a poet from Toledo. Backyard affair under asters. Tested tears. Father-daughter dance with Lily subbing son. Vows echoing their own. Love's choice, the kid said, toasting. Y'all taught me. Betrayal's final echo. A Hargrove cousin, distant, suing over defamation from the podcast. Claiming Timmy's truth tarnished legacy. Court brief, dismissed, but unearthed letters. Mrs. Hargrove's journals, not just hate but despair. Husband's suicide years prior, misplaced grief weaponized. She was broken, Timmy said, post-ruling beer. Like we all were. Forgiveness full circle, no saints, just humans mending. Climax, if such it was, unfolded ordinary. Elmwood's 150th, bicentennial bash morphing inclusive. Pride parade weaving Maine. Floats of soccer balls and fiddles. Ray's old truck hauling rainbow banners. Brandon Grand Marshal, Shane beside. Lily waving scepter. Crowd thick, no booze, cheers instead. Hands clapping rhythm of repair. Mayor's speech. From ashes we rise. Thanks to one man's return. Spotlights, but Brandon's eyes on Shane's. Blue-green steady. Love's constant. Post-parade. Quiet denouement. Farm porch. Stars pricking velvet sky. Marcus and wife swaying slow. Lily conked on hammock. Wine glasses clink. Shane's head on shoulder. Return to clear my name. Brandon mused, fingers laced. Found my life instead. Shane's hum. Content. Truth's the hook. Love's the story. Years later, graying graces, they'd tell it to grandkids. Lily's twins, Marcus's boy, around fire pits crackling lore. Once, a lie broke everything. Brandon would start, embers glowing. But truth? It rebuilt worlds. No tidy bows, just humanistic weave. Flawed town, fierce loves, redemptions earned in sweat and seasons. Elmwood endured, as did they, anchors in storm, storms in calm, forever entwined. Epilogue whispered in winds. Podcast finale, Brandon signing off. Names cleared, but hearts? That's the real work. Keep fighting. Keep loving. Mic drop, fade to credits. Springsteen crooning Thunder Road. Road taken, not fled. And in the quiet after, two men on a swing, creak eternal, watching fireflies dance like hopes released.